why is this happening to me? What is going on? Why does it seem like things keep going in the negative? You just feel like you just can't catch a break. How many of you all are feeling this? I mean, if you've been just watching the news constantly, you are just wondering what is going on? And I am here to share with you that you are not a victim. You are not a victim. You are a creator. And if no one ever tells you this, please take time, grab a pen, take time and grab a friend, tell them to tune into this live right now because this live is about to completely transform your life and transform your colleagues and give everyone a sense of peace, a sense of calm in the midst of all of the chaos. If there's one thing that I know that a lot of people want to have is they want to have peace. Everyone that I talk to just says, I just want to have contentment. I want to have peace. I want to have joy in my life. But when we start to, and a lot of us will meditate, we'll think good thoughts. But then once something happens, everything shifts. And the reason is you are relying on your circumstances to dictate your level of peace. And I know this is something contrary to what a lot of people have been taught. But again, this is why you're here. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And your spiritual being is connected to all things creation. That is today's conversation. And this is what we're going to be diving into in this conversation. And I want, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Diana Patton, and I am the founder and the creator of the Rise Advocates Academy, the Rise Advocates Movement, and Rise with Diana Consultancy. I have the most amazing team that I work with every single day. And I want to give a shout out to Woodley White, Yanaya Curry, Catherine Phillips, and all of the other team members who help me. And we all come together to create this wonderful opportunity, helping corporate women speak up, advocate for themselves using their authentic voice. We also work with organizations in the area of inclusion and making certain that people, all people, are treated with a level of love, equity, and kindness and compassion within their workspaces. That's what we do, and we love it. So, I came up with this topic because, 400,000 people are being asked whether they want to stay or leave in their government jobs. People are in the organizations are in fear. Most private organizations or publicly held organizations that are not government operated are being asked to remove things from their strategies and focusing on people and different people that don't look like what's been standard in corporate America, and people are running in fear. They have been feeling for a long time. And a lot of people that I've worked with and why I even went to law school feel this thing called disenfranchisement, right? So this means that people just haven't been feeling like they've been treated fairly. They don't have the same opportunities. They feel as though people aren't giving them what they need. We've heard over the years so many structured organizations coming with policies, strategies, and practices to help people get to where they want to be. And I have been for that, right? I went to law school for a reason. For those of you who don't know, I practiced civil rights work for a while in a fair housing organization. And the main reason why I went to law school was because of the issues that I had growing up. I grew up with a very abusive father, a white father, and a Black mom. And so my experiences from the start were tumultuous. And I specifically remember the first time I asked why I have this life. Like, why is life so difficult? Why do we have to go through these things? It was when I started to see my cousins and my family, like they all had different lives than we did, but it seemed like everything was difficult. I hated going home from school. I constantly felt sick. My entire childhood was one of survival. And I felt like, why isn't anyone doing anything about our situation? Why aren't people like coming to our rescue? I specifically remember all of these kinds of things going through my childhood and not even knowing that what I was going through was trauma. No one ever told me that what happened to me in my childhood was not my fault. But yet, I knew I wanted to take on the flag. I was going to go fight the power, and I was going to tell everybody that they needed to treat us fairly. There were people that looked like me who weren't being treated fairly. And so I was on a mission to go out and change the world. But no one, and I mean, no one ever told me things like what you focus on expands, right? No one ever showed that to me. No one ever told me that what I focus on expands until my mom started like looking in, showing me in the Bible that your thoughts create things. That was my first glimpse, that my thoughts create things, So what I think is possible will become possible, right? And your mind, you see, your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. When my mom started talking to me about those kinds of things, I I started kind of leaning in a little bit. So, and it was because my mom had a focus. She started shifting into what she knew from her spiritual teaching, from her mother. You see, my grandmother was a civil rights activist. And when she and her family came up from the South, they didn't have any rules. They didn't have any laws. They didn't have any policies. They didn't have any practices. In fact, she didn't even have a high school diploma. Yet and still, they began to change things. And I firmly believe that my grandmother knew that there was an intelligence inside of her. She had an intelligence. She knew how to grasp her creative nature. She knew that God was inside of her. So it didn't matter what was going on the outside world. It didn't matter what people thought of her. What mattered most was that she knew that she could change things as long as she understood who her creator was and how her creator created her to create, right? And so this is the foundation of us, because I know a lot of you are working hard, you're fighting things, and you are doing the good thing. You are doing great work. But you have to understand one critical element. And I actually want to write this down because I didn't write this down, but you need to know that life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. How many believe that? By show in the chat. I want to see, because I'm going to put the chat up here, right? How many of you believe that life is not happening to you, it's happening for you? Life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. This is a critical element. So, because here's the thing, you are on assignment. You are on assignment. You have a very specific assignment that you've been given to solve a problem today. That's the reason why you have to understand that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and your soul, right, your spiritual being actually has the solution to the problem that you are supposed to solve. The problem is you believe you're a victim of circumstances. You believe that these outside circumstances have relevance to your assignment. Oh, they certainly can give you insight. They certainly can educate you on what it is that you need to do, but it has no relevance to your ability to achieve it. Your relevance and the ability that you have to achieve your assignment solely comes from the creative elements that you've been given at birth. And you have to understand this. You have to understand this because a lot of you aren't really understanding that the things that have happened throughout time, throughout history, a lot of what's going on is repeating itself. And you might be wondering, but what's the point of human existence? The point of human existence and the point of you being able to do the things that you're supposed to be able to do is for you to understand that there's all of these wonderful opportunities for you to be able to grasp onto, but only you have the solution to a specific problem that you've been given. And the point of human existence is for you to live with this understanding that you are a creator, that you get the ability to do things that no one else can do, and no one else can do it but you. So I want to tell you that as I started to kind of get into law school and started doing my corporate work, and I started fighting these battles, right, within the fair housing world, and I started seeing the problems that were perpetuating in certain communities. And I started to realize that what if we started to realize that we are these creators and that our minds can shift our reality? And this very, very profound quote came to me from this book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself: How to Lose Your Mind and Gain a New One by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He said, your personality creates your personal reality. Again, your personality, I'm going to write this down in the chat as well. Your personality creates your personal reality. What do you think about that? Your personality creates your personal reality. I started to think about that. I said, why is it that some people can come out of the most difficult circumstances and thrive while others don't? Why is it that some people don't get diseases and others do? They're in the same environment, they have the same circumstances, yet some come out of that. My friends, that's because you change the way you think, you have a new belief system, you break systems, you break codes, you break policies, and people are befuddled. Why? Because of the way you believe. And this was what started to shift everything for me. I started realizing that I would pray about something or I would think about something, and nothing is changing on the outside world, but I was thinking about it. And all of a sudden, I would feel hot or I'd feel shaky or I'd feel upset. And I'm realizing, why am I even causing myself this pain? In my head, nothing is changing on the outside. Yet, when I would have these thoughts and have these negative ways of thinking, I realized that my whole day wasn't good. It would shift my entire day. How many of you guys have had that happen? Right? And I know this to be true because then I said, if I can have myself have a bad day, I wonder if I can create myself having a good day. And you know when it all clicked for me? It all clicked for me when I flunked the bar exam. This was my first time knowing that what you focus on expands, right? This is what my first time knowing that what you focus on expands, because what I started to realize was my mind didn't know. If I began to tell my mind, you aren't very good at taking tests, you're horrible at taking tests. In fact, you'll never be able to pass. Guess what I know is going to happen? I'm never going to be able to pass. But once I started like looking at my score, it was changed. I wrote a new score down. I kept seeing this score and seeing myself take the exam. I would visualize myself getting up and doing this. I started applying these types of concepts. Now, granted, I didn't realize this. I would apply these concepts as an athlete. I would see myself doing the race when I was running college, but never did I actually apply that to my real life. And so, what I started to realize was the biggest thing that I needed to do was I needed to know myself. I needed to spend time on how do I respond to issues and difficulties. And that's the first thing I want you to be able to think about is how are you responding to negativity? Do you know yourself? Do you know yourself on the inside? Do you find yourself constantly perpetuating that all these negative things are going to happen? All these horrible things are going to happen. Oh my gosh, you don't understand, Diana. There are all these people who are going to lose their jobs, and all these people are going to be losing their titles, and all these people are going to be having to leave these companies. But I wonder if you could check yourself to see how are you actually looking at that situation? Because if you're looking at it through the lens of that life is happening for me, that you would begin to say, oh my gosh, well, there's something positive must be coming on the other end. There must be something bigger coming on the other end. What's the solution that I need to be able to look at this problem? How can I find a solution? Who are the people that I need to work with to find a solution to the situation? But if you don't know yourself and you are the type of person who consistently perpetuates this negative view, we're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to shift anything. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You get to create a circumstance. How many of you are with me? How many of you are with me? Right? Agreed. Come on, Nikki. When you're having a bad day, you're having a bad week, Nikki says, it impacts how I communicate with others and how I struggle to have good conversations. When I'm happy, the conversations are so much more mutually beneficial. My friends, this is a universal truth. Thank you so much, Nikki, for the comment. This is a universal truth. And as when you begin to shift your level of consciousness, when you be able to shift your level of consciousness and start to move away from the stories that you have deep in your level of subconsciousness, you will change everything. Say this with me. I am a creator. My personality creates my personal reality. My personality, the way I think, the way I feel, the way I speak, the way I operate myself creates my personal reality. I know this to be so true. And in fact, I really love, and I want to give you guys a few things to think about because one of the books I've been reading here lately, have you guys read Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth? Awakening to Your Life Purpose. My friends, this will shift your entire knowing. Write this down, put this in your library, and make this a part of your overall steps right now. Because if you are in fear, and please share this, okay, Nikki, everybody who's listening, share this with your friends, share this with your colleagues, because I'm going to encourage everyone who's listening to this right now. I know you know people who are feeling stressed and overwhelmed. We need to give people hope. We need to let them know they're not victims. We need to let them know that they can create their reality. We need to have them start thinking differently, speaking differently, believing differently. And my goodness, I'm telling you right now, I am channeling all of my ancestors because I stand on such strong, such broad, such brilliant shoulders who taught me the power of my mind, the power of my thoughts. And the reality is that I need to be conscious of things. And I need to understand that no one, no human being, nobody in human existence is able to shut down my assignment but me. I am the creator of my reality. You are the creator of your reality. If you want to create something different, you have to believe that you can create something different. And I want to put on my amazing glasses and read this quote to you. How many of you all are feeling this right now? I'm not just talking and I'm not just saying, spouting off some things. These are scientific truths. If you look into neuroscience, if you look into what spiritual teachers and what people have been able to overcome and transform communities throughout the nation, throughout the world, throughout time, you will realize that there is one universal truth. And the fact is that a lot of us have fallen asleep. We don't understand that our consciousness and our universal consciousness that can connect together under hope, under harmony, under truth, under love can shift things. And this is what you need to give to your friends. This is what you need to give to your colleagues. So let me read this quote to you, and I want to share this. The only perpetrator of evil, say this, the only perpetrator of evil is not a person, it's not a leader of a country, it's not even your boss. It's not even your company. It is human unconsciousness, right? It's human unconsciousness. Yes, human unconsciousness. The realization is true forgiveness. Now, yes, right, Nikki, negativity breeds negativity, but let me share this with you. I started to realize that a lot of us have been hurt. We had a hurt, we had a harm, we had something that happened to us. And what we did was we began to lock in that hurt in our mind. And anything or anyone who reminded us of that hurt, we began to live it all over again. And we lived it all over again. And every single time we live it, we live it, we live it, we breathe it, it becomes our identity, it becomes our pain. And this becomes what I like to call, and what Eckhart calls, our pain body. So I'm going to share with you what my pain body is, because y'all need to understand what is the pain that you keep holding on to. And one of my pains was when my father was abusive to us, and he would say things to me that he would say, "You disgust me, get out of my face." I would rewind that in my head over and over and over again. And you know what my number one goal was to be able to fight white men. Why? My father was white. My mother was black. And I saw in my mind, all white men were evil. All white men did this. Why? Because I had one hurt. Now, granted, this hurt was pretty deep. It was my father. It was my father. He was supposed to protect me. He was supposed to guide me. He was supposed to love me. He was supposed to look at me as his daughter. But that man perpetuated harm to me. And that harm got so deep in my subconscious that I could not see anyone who looked, if they looked like they might be perpetuating evil, hurting people, harming people. You know what my number one goal was to attack, right? You see how this goes. You get in your mind this hurt, this negative problem, and it tends to snowball. And over time, what I did was I got a license to practice law. And I started to use this license to practice law to overcome this evil, what I thought was evil. But what the problem was I was asleep. I was unconscious. And I began to perpetrate this negative thought and this thought that I was going to overcome this evil, when reality, it wasn't all these other white men that were evil. It was my father, who wasn't even evil. He himself was unconscious. So guess what I had to do? Telling this long story to tell you what I had to do. Guess what I had to do? And this is what a lot of us have to do. What is it? Anyone guess what I had to do with my father in order for me to be able to wake up? I'm going to put it right here. Guess what I had to do? I had to forgive. I had to forgive my dad. And I realized once I forgave my dad and forgave that circumstance and surrendered my entire life shifted. I started to realize my fight is not white men. In fact, I married one. And I'm so glad that I did. All of these human construct, these problems come from our inability to forgive. Because you see, and I love how Eckhart says this one quote, he says, with forgiveness, listen to this. If you left this chat, if you left this, you better come on back. You better come on back. Let me see if I can get to some of these comments. Forgive, Nikki! Girl. I mean, it's the thing is that I think it's just such a courageous act to forgive. But the problem, why don't people forgive? Why don't people forgive? I want to understand, why don't we forgive? I mean, if we did forgive, it would solve a lot of problems, wouldn't it? But when we don't forgive, it takes us out of the present moment, right? Let me read this to you. I'm gonna close this up because I could go for an hour and a half, but this is what we need today, right? With forgiveness, listen to this. With forgiveness, your victim identity dissolves, right? With forgiveness, your victim identity dissolves, right, Nikki? Oh, right, because we are hurt. A lot of us, we're so hurt. We are a bundle of hurts. We are a bundle of harm, and we are a bundle of pain. And and we already had this pain. And then now with all of these things happening in the world, we can't even see that we are creators. Say it with me. I am a creator. I get to create. Right? Yes, someone says, I think it's a defense for some. It's better to be broken than feel safer there. Wow. That's deep. That's deep. But I want to share this with you, that there is power in our ability to be in the present moment. Because often a lot of us are shadow boxing our past. We are spending time shadow boxing, and that keeps us as a victim, right? When we begin to be in the present moment, we can see things clearly. We can understand how we can step through our assignment. You are not a victim. You are a beautiful human being brought to this earth from a spiritual source I like to call God. God has given you the spirit to do what it is that you need to do, to stay conscious of the power that lies within you. You have a power within you that is strong, powerful, and mighty. You have the ability to ask and receive whatever it is. You have an intellect inside of you. Do you know that the scientists are proving that there are the crystals inside of your brain that act like magnets? You can attract into your life everything that you need. I need everyone who is losing hope, who feels discouraged, who doesn't understand how they're going to make it, that you can shift your thoughts right now to believe and tell yourself a new story. For the negative story that you believe is out there, you can shift right now and have a positive story. If you're going to think about something, because you do, you will know that if you just get a new story, if you just get a new story, you can change it. You can change everything. We have power. My grandmother had so much power, and she didn't even have a college degree. She didn't have anything. Y'all sitting up here with PhDs, college degrees, years of service, all of these awards that you've received, every single where you got books that you can read, and you can read them. I need you to understand your power. I need you to get into the present moment. I need to become conscious, and I need you to get into circles in your job. I need you to call your friends. I need you to be able to talk to people, create community in your home, have dinner at your house, and talk about all of the positive things that you do. When two or more are gathered, and you call upon the source of all truth, you call upon the source of all like knowing. You begin to have a knowing. You begin to get hunches. You begin to get thoughts and insights and maybe we could try this. Maybe we could do this. And it doesn't have to be a big protest, right? You can call upon, you will begin to attract into your life people who are going to be able to help you do the things you never thought were possible. These are all the things that my grandmother did. And I want you to know that you're equipped. You were born in this time period for a very specific reason. You were born to manifest everything that has within you. You don't have to go anywhere to find it. I need you to turn off a lot of the things that look horrible right now. I need you to turn all that off. And guess what? People say, well, how are you going to be able to know what's going on? Because I am with I spend the majority of my time with the author of all intelligence. I will know when I need to know. I know that because it comes into my path. It's not that I sit under a rock. I am intelligent. I have a knowing. I know my assignment. And you do too. I need you to get that. You're not a victim. You are a creator. You have the ability to shift things. Start with knowing yourself. Start looking at the way that you respond to things. Start seeing what it is that you think is impossible and to know it's possible. Pick up this book. Pick up this book, A New Earth, Awakening Your Life's Purpose. There's another book that I want you to pick up. It's called The Trance of Scarcity. And you need to understand that you are in a trance. You have begun to believe that you are in a trance, right? And that it's scarce when we live with abundance. Now, I'm telling you that do not dismiss this. We need people who are speaking like this. We need people who are able to get people together and give them hope. We don't need all the strategies right now. And that would be great, to have the strategies right now for a lot of other things. But what I need you to do is I need you to give people hope, right? I need you to be able to give people this understanding that they can do this, right? Yes. And Nikki, I love what you're saying here. It's powerful because we are hurt. A lot of us are hurt. And so we need to be able to give people this. Okay. Oh, tell me, what are you guys thinking about this? Who's going to go out and give one good thing from today's talk, right? Here are some things I want you to tell people, right? And I want you to write this down if you haven't already, because I want to have these things that you can share with people, right? Number 1, your personality creates your personal reality. Number 2, life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. The perpetrator of evil is human unconsciousness, right? I want people to look at their circumstances today and how do you see your life? Put in one column, how you see your life. Put in another column, how you want to see your life, how you see yourself, writing a new story, right? And then what I want you to know and tell people that what you focus on expands. So if you're spending more time on what you're seeing and not what you want to see, guess what's going to expand in your life, right? Because your mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is not. And lastly, this is your full-time job. Say, my full-time job, and tell other people, your full-time job is to know yourself. How do you respond in times of crisis? Are you a person who is a believer in all things possible, or are you the person constantly spewing doom and gloom? This is what I want you to share with your circles. This is what we need. Please, if you don't do anything, just take this last half of the live here today and share that with them. I know that I spent a lot of time with you today, but it's needed. It's necessary, especially today. This is January 7th, 2025. And I do hope that this video inspires you, that this live encourages you. We will be back next Monday. Actually, we're going to be live here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. on LinkedIn and on YouTube, because I know I've been put on this planet to not only help women speak up and advocate for themselves, but also I've been put on this planet to give hope to people around the world, to let them know that they are the creators of their realities. They are not victims. No more victim. No more will you be saying, why is this happening to me? You will understand. You will know, right? And I want to close this with that. If you've gotten all the way down to the end of this video, that means that you're hungry. That means that you desire something. And so, what I would love for you to be able to do is, if you put in a comment after this live, is put, I am a creator. If you say, I am a creator, I will send you a book list that I know will guarantee will change your life. Join me next Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I will continue to talk about ways that can encourage you on your job, in your work, and in your community to change the reality that you are the creator of all things possible. Thank you so much for taking